Is it, can you hear me now? It should be working now. Yes, no, maybe so. I think yeah, I think for some reason my mic was like turned off, but whatever. So good morning everyone. Not really morning, but it's night. But it feels like morning to me. I feel like I just awakened from a slumber. Main point is this. That big news happened the other day. I don't know if all of you know, but Trump's the audio that they used to indict him, or the evidence, the smoking gun, is released. And get woke. I'm gonna shit in my hair. That's fine. I'll take that. But God, this chat is ridiculous. The point is that they released the news. The audio was released, basically, yada yada yada, and now we have what was going on. So all day today, I ended up wasting my like half an hour of my life responding to people who keep comparing what happened with Trump to some sort of like double standard, two-tiered justice system nonsense that they connect with what happened with Hillary and her emails. Let's just put it out here. The difference in what happened between Hillary and Trump is that people can argue, literally argue the point that Hillary did nothing wrong. Like you can even possibly attempt to argue it. Like there's a possibility, a shred of a tiny bit of maybe she didn't mean to be like a conniving, corrupted bitch. Maybe she was. But Trump, on the other hand, like the evidence is so clear that the only arguments I now hear are whataboutism, what about Hillary, what about Hunter Biden. That's just right. It's basic. It's that simple. Or it's something along the lines of Trump was actually president at the time, and because he was president at the time, he did declassify them, or he could declassify things just because he can declassify things. Some absolute nonsense that has nothing to do with what's actually going on. Tremendous news. So what I'm going to do is we're going to watch a little bit of clip about that. And then I had a friend send me a bunch of culture war nonsense to look at, talk about. I'm not even sure what it's about. I know that one of them is Sneeko, I believe. Yes, Sneeko is a part of it. And then some other one is a conservative thing. I know. No. So it's Sneeko debates delusional people from someone called Just Pearly Things. I think I've heard about this person. I probably watched like someone tangentially covering some conversation that she had with that guy who's married to Trisha Paytas. I don't remember exactly who that is. I think he runs the H3 podcast, or that guy. He's like short, Jewish, pudgy. I think so. I'm not really sure. And then some other people who are called conservative twins. They look jacked out of their mind. But so yeah, let's go ahead and see what 6 ABC Philadelphia has to let us know. What do you mean, Ethan? Oh, that's his name, Ethan. Why would he die if he heard me say this? Why? I gotta know. Why would he die if he heard me say this? Sneaker Snake. I feel like I'm an old person who just doesn't remember names. Oh, he's not. He's not married to Trisha Paytas? Okay. Anyhow. I see. They had a bad time. Well, I guess the only association I know between him is that somehow he's related to, she's married to his wife. She's married to his wife. Wait, Trisha Paytas is married to H3H3's wife? Is that what's going on? Oh, she's married to his... I'm so confused. You know, Sneeko let a guy fuck his girlfriend. I don't know. No, his wife's brother. Oh, Trisha Paytas is his wife's brother's wife. Okay, this is making a lot more sense. That's exactly how I feel. New phone, who dis energy. Okay. So I don't have to. So let's go ahead and put on. Just be put on. Oh, that's me too big. There we go. Aha. That makes a lot more sense. So let's go ahead and see what 6 Nightly ABC News has for us.
Breaking news tonight, ABC News has obtained a recording of former President Trump where he appears to discuss classified documents he held on to. Take a listen.
Doesn't this guy seem like not a real person? This literally to me just looks like not a real human being, like a character like Monopoly Money or like a Clue or something like that. It just doesn't seem real to me. I do like his mustache though.
Isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case, you know. Except it is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. But look at this.
ABC News has verified the authenticity.
I hate when news organizations do this. I hate it. I hate it so much. Just give me the video. Just give me what's going on. I don't need your whatever it is. Did Trump leak it? No. What is this? Midas Touch? Did Trump leak it? I doubt he leaked it. How long is this? This is someone talking about it. This is like 2 minutes. It looks like they talk about it more over here. From Fox. Let's see what Fox's take on this is.
By CNN reveals former President Donald Trump speaking to several people about what the special counsel says was classified information regarding military plans in Iran. This comes as Trump is gearing up for trial.
Is this an AI robot talking over this video?
This comes as Trump is gearing up for trial, facing 37 charges relating to his alleged mishandling of classified documents. Fox News' Ted Linder reports.
Except it is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information.
In newly released audio of Donald Trump into U.S. military strategies in Iran.
Declassified. See, as president, I could have declassified.
Lock sis up. Okay. Anything. This video is so boring that I don't even give a fuck. Trump is guilty. We all know Trump is guilty. It's very simple. They have audio of it now. They have the smoking gun. It's done. It's really that simple. It really, 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 really is that simple. Like, and this is the thing that bothers me a lot. Instead of just recognizing that, hey, this guy's a scumbag, this guy broke the law and now he's going to have to deal with it, we just see person after person on the right wing can still just try to deflect or do a massive whataboutism. And that's really the only narrative we have to stick with. Oh, Trump did something wrong. Here's the evidence. Where is the evidence? And when they say, what about Hillary? What about Biden? Anyone talks about that? The answer is very, very simple. If the evidence was there, if I could convict them, I would. But we have a legal system. We have a legal structure that we have to do things by. Hillary Clinton, there's nothing equivalent to this amount of evidence on Hillary's side, or even Hunter Biden, who already pled guilty, by the way. He already pled guilty and had to pay his fines or whatever it is that he's doing. I think he's going, I don't even know what else is going on, but he already pled guilty to that. So don't let anyone obfuscate. Don't let anyone change the topic. It's very simple. Donald Trump is guilty here. He obviously knew that it was declassified, not declassified. He obviously knew it was wrong to have it. This is the intent that you're looking for. And he obviously withheld it. So there's nothing much to talk about. I know it's like big and bold because I just feel like I have to yell it at this point. I also think that we're getting to this point in our political discussions that for people who still support Trump, I have a hard time even getting to them and trying to see what is it like. Do they just have so much resentment that they just hate anything woke? Like, for me, I have a hard time even understanding their rationalizations, and I really try. I really do try to understand what it is, what logical, like relatively normal way of thinking has led you to continue to support this guy, other than an insane hatred of Democrats. And I know people can say, well, why do you end up supporting Biden. Well, I only support that party because I think that there's actually an ability for progressives and people on the left to like change that party. I think there is a possibility for that. I don't see that possible on the right at all in any way, shape, or form. So for those who have stopped caring about Trump, my question to those who have stopped caring and don't care and say, oh no, he was an idiot, I changed, he was dumb, I can't vote for him again. My question is this, and I think that anyone who is watching this who still supports Trump, you ask yourself this question, or used to support Trump and no longer supports Trump, what mistakes did you make 6 years ago when everyone around you, at least I was telling you, this guy sounds like an idiot, it doesn't sound like there's any merit to anything he has to say. No, they're not going to build a wall across the border. No, Mexico is not going to pay for it. Do you not see how insane and delusional this guy is how narcissistic he is? And now we're seeing the effects of that. So like, what didn't you understand back then that today you do understand, and how do you not make that mistake again? Right? That's how we grow as adults. That's how we move forward. So I think, yeah, pretty much. That's all I have to really say about that, I guess. But yeah. So you tell me to look up cis is a slur. What is this? Cis is a slur. Musk says cisgender and cis are now slurs on Twitter. Oh, Elon. Twitter's executive Elon Musk said late Tuesday the words cisgendered and cis are considered slurs under the social media's platform content policy, the latest ad hoc policy change implemented by the billionaire who has previously made controversial remarks on gender identity. Musk tweeted 2 words are considered slurs on the platform and warned that target harassment against any person will result in a minimum temporary suspension. That's super funny. I guess they're trying to play like reverse Uno for people who would call black people the N-word, or a reverse Uno card for people who would dead name trans folks, or a reverse Uno card for whatever idea they think is a reverse. But this is not a reverse Uno card. But I do want to caveat and say that, anyone who uses cis as a way to insult someone else, that's fucked up. Don't do that. Don't dismiss people by calling them cis. Don't derogatorily call them cis. That's fucked up. Don't do that. And I think this highlights like an actual difference in the way in which we use language, right? Just because something is like not a bad word, there are contexts where we can use it, right? The N-word can be used in a play or in a movie without that person necessarily being saying hate speech or saying anything like that. But in the same way, a term like cis could be used as hate speech, or can be used to hurt someone or to be hurtful and hateful against someone. But this is funny. This entire thing, but like the big Uno reverse, is funny to me. Because he come on with like this, free speech platform, yada, yada, yada. No principles here. Zero principles whatsoever for this cis thing. Okay. Let's go ahead and talk about, watch this video. Sneeko debates delusional woman calling him misogynist. Delusional woman. This is just Pearly. Oh, it's an hour long? Fuck. Holy shit. I think Trump is a social fiction. Are we talking to is this a shout out to Marcus?
Yeah. And it's just a warning sign. I'm not trying to be misogynistic, but I'm telling you, like, having cats and rapping is not where you're going to find your higher purpose, and it's not going to give you the satisfaction in life that you could find if you submitted to a man.
Is that more impactful on the world at 65 than having 5 kids? So because when you're gone, who cares? Your career's gone. What do you have to show for it in the world?
My music.
do you hate women? And you said, oh, I don't hate women, but I hate women that think. So yeah, technically,
I wouldn't even really consider that a woman. I don't really find you very feminine. You're not, and that's okay. I don't find you masculine. So
going back to you guys' point, why?
Because so
I'm
dramatic.
23,
the music.
So I'm kind of torn between whether I would.
I have to understand what is the point of this show? The pregame show. What is this show? Who runs the show? What is this? The pregame show. Oh, Mega, you just missed me talking about how Trump's guilty and basically ranting about that whole thing. But now I'm going to watch someone call someone else a misogynist, so. So, about. Oh, this is a completely different thing. This is like Lil Wayne and NFL stuff. So what is this other thing? The pregame show, Sneeko, is that what I should look? I don't even know. Honestly, I don't care enough. Let's watch this bullshit.
Want to continue working after I have kids. From your opinion, like, why would you feel like women working is something that they shouldn't do?
It's not that you should or shouldn't. It's just ideally no. If you're with the right man, then you wouldn't have to work. If you want to, you can. But I would rather that you raise the kids.
Yeah, who's gonna be watching?
You know what's interesting about this? He just said, I've never heard Sneeko talk about anything before, but he just said, if you're with the right man, you wouldn't have to work. And then he's saying, if you were with me, you wouldn't have to work, right? That's what he said.
Should or shouldn't, it's just ideally no. If you're with the right man, then you wouldn't have to work. If you want to, you can. But I would rather that you raise the kids.
I would rather that you raise the kids, right there. He's just projecting. He just believes that this is what it means to be a good man. And he's so like caught up in his own bullshit that he thinks that what he wants and the type of women that he wants is how everybody else should behave. This is what's happening right now. From what I understand so far about this guy Sneeko, that he believes that he's some apex boy, and now he's going to want other people to behave that way. And I'm 58 seconds into this. Sad.
Yeah, who's gonna be watching the kids when you're at work?
Some babysitter.
That's very true.
And so then you have a stranger influencing your kid more than you are.
And you have to look at it as a place of trust and love. He picked you. He trusts you and picked you over every woman in the world, put his children in you, and instilled that trust in you to take care of them while he's away, making sure the family's taken care of. Is there a more important duty? Listen, I think that women in the workplace, I think women kill it. In fact, my construction company, all of my managers outside the
I don't understand their point. I don't know what they're getting at.
They're very good at it. They're very organized. I call them my Trojan horses because they get more in a negotiation than a man could because it's not a dick measuring thing, right? But at the same time, a lot of those women are past the years of being a mother and their kids are grown and they're in their 50s and they're professional business women. But I suspect that any woman that gets a high-level guy who chooses her and chooses to trust her with one of the most important things in this world, his children, that should be an honor past any other job that I can think of.
The honor is because a guy trusts a woman to watch kids for him. I've never looked at it that way. That's a weird, like, perspective where, again, the value of a woman comes from the guy that she's with because he has to trust her. What greater honor? There are greater honors. Like, you marry a woman because you want to build a life with her, because you trust her with yourself. You trust that her decisions about what's the right way to raise a kid and what are the best ways by which kids, develop will be between you and her. Like in relationships, these people seem to want to convince women to adopt what they want a woman to do rather than just recognize that some women might want to do that and some women might not want to do that.
For a woman. Now, does that mean that a woman can't go out there and make money and have an impact on the world outside of being a mother? No, it doesn't. Women can. Just by and largely on the macro, what a beautiful job to have.
And it's just a warning sign. I'm not trying to be misogynistic, but I'm telling you, like, having cats and rapping is not where you're going to find your higher purpose, and it's not going to give you the satisfaction in life that you could find if you submitted to a man. And it's submitting doesn't have to be suppressing. It's not misogynistic to submit to your husband. That's a woman's happiest state, is submitting to a man that she loves.
You wouldn't know you're not a woman.
He's 100% right. You know what I believe? If more women would take that role, there'd be less women on antidepressants.
But there are a lot of women here who are willing to take that role. So what is your point? There are a lot of...
Where are they pulling this information on? That's just what I have to know. Like, where is this coming from? What is their evidence for this? Women have many ways that they feel accomplished. I mean, one of the things that actually makes a lot of middle-aged women get on antidepressants is that they raise kids. They have a family, and then the kids leave. And now everything they worked for, everything that they put all their heart in is no longer there, and their life becomes empty all of a sudden. Because they didn't make sure to have a career. They didn't sure to make a purpose that extends beyond their submissiveness to their husband and their role as a caretaker for their children. I don't know who these guys are. Maybe they didn't grow up with sisters or anything like that, but it's just like they don't see the humanity, the yearning to like be creative and a master of your own craft and exist for women as well. I don't know. I mean, I guess there will also be against dads who like want to stay at home and take care of their kids, which is also dope if you want to do that, by the way.
Women who share this mentality.
Yeah, you're not different than them.
No, I am. I've made that clear. I'm not going to lie.
You're not like other women?
No, I'm not. I don't want what other women or traditional women or women that what every woman wants. I have a different dream. I have a different purpose. And
so your dream is to have cats and to be a rapper?
No, did I say that?
I'm asking, what's your dream?
No, I'm sorry that I don't dream to...
What is your dream? What's your aim in life?
That's none of your business. What I'm on is what I'm on. I'm a rapper. That's as far as it goes, and you know.
Okay, let's say you became the world's biggest rapper.
Yeah.
And you took that to the extreme. Is that more impactful on the world at 65 than having 5 kids?
So
because when you're gone, who cares? Your career's gone. What do you have to show for it in the world?
My music. Stream it.
Why does validation necessarily need to be outward, inward? Why does it have to be that there, like what the world recognizes of you is where your value comes from? Interesting.
Of it, like we're a little, you know.
That's better than a child.
Yeah, we're good on
that. No one said that, but I'm just saying.
She's actually right. This girl is right. No one said it's better than a child. Because she's not saying that one is better than another. It's just not what she wants. Right now, she wants to be a rapper. She wants to explore her music. She wants to perfect her craft. And maybe later in life, you know, she can adopt kids. Maybe she'll be more successful enough in the future she could freeze her eggs. Maybe 5 years, 6 years from now, when her career is starting a little bit, she has a little financial security. She's 26, 27, 28. She decides to settle down and want to have a family. That's completely normal. I don't understand why they're like making it that as if this is the only one way to live a life, or this is the only right way to live a life.
For you, it
but
is.
You're not saying anything.
What I'm saying is back to what this guy said. I just don't like them, I keep saying it because I can see it, like the way.
So you skip the dream part. I'm misogynistic.
What? No, you're not. You are misogynistic, but you're not going to admit it. That's the thing. Like you don't
think I hate women?
You don't think, but yes, I do.
Okay. This person who thinks that misogyny means you have to hate women, doesn't understand like what it probably even means to be racist, right? You could be racist, say, "Oh, I love black people. I just love them in the fields," right? You could do that. You love women. You just love women as property. You just love women when they're subservient to you. That's not love. That's where misogyny comes from. It's seeing women as less than, as property of. It's, you know people who talk about their ex-girlfriend leaving them and then getting with another guy as like, oh, she was stolen from me, right? She was stolen from me. The girl was stolen from me. Well, that's men who conceive of women as property because she was stolen from you, right? So is too much irrelevant horseshit. I'm out. That's fair. I can see how this is irrelevant for some people.
The women that you probably met.
Okay.
You seem
Actually,
like
you know,
the
I
type of
figured
guy
it
that's
out.
met a lot of
I
bad
figured it out.
girls.
I don't hate women at all. You said that you're not like other women. I don't like that. I don't like women who think that they're different, who want to be men, who want to be rappers, who don't want to be. I have no problem with women. I have a problem with women that can't define misogyny, but call me misogynistic, that prefer rapping over having
But
children.
I literally asked you.
I
I
wouldn't
literally
even
asked
consider
you
that
right now.
womanhood.
I literally asked you. What did I just ask you? I said, "What do you hate women?" And you said, "Oh, I don't hate women, but I hate women that fix." So yeah, technically,
I wouldn't even really consider that a woman. I don't really find you very feminine.
You're not. And
Oh, are these guys
that's
based
okay.
on
I don't
gender?
find you masculine. So the feeling is mutual. My point, but you have the mentality of these social media men, like the men on social media who have so much to say, internet warriors, like they've got so much to say about what a woman should do, how a woman should dress, how a woman should look. You're not feminine. Like, yeah, there are women that are not feminine women. Like, this is the real world.
Yeah, and they
my
die,
nigga,
and,
that's how it is.
Yeah, and they die
She's
alone.
right. She's super right.
Okay,
They
but
don't get picked.
Women outlive men
They don't
anyways.
get
And why would you want to
It's
get
not a competition.
picked? I'm not
Is this
saying
like-
it is.
Is this like modern day Christian? Like this is like what modern day Christianity, like traditional lifestyles look like today? Is this what these people are? This is crazy. I've never encountered this form. I don't like you because you want to be different than traditional women. Yeah, this is what he's saying, and that's fine. But he's trying to convince girls that they need to change who they are so he would like them. It's just insane. Sneeko converted to Islam. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, that makes tons of sense.
But statistically, women outlive men. So what's your point?
My point is that it's not misogyny.
So you do
And
have
it's not a lot of people
subconsciously like you have misogynistic views. Yes,
No,
you do.
it's not any.
You do. For free, and that's coming from a woman.
Okay, you're not very womanly.
But
though.
the majority of the women in the room said he wasn't misogynist.
And the majority of the women in this room come from religious backgrounds, etc., etc. So they have a certain mentality.
I didn't come from a religious background. My mum's Catholic, but she never pushed it upon us when we was growing up. I grew up pretty much with no religion. I've been to church maybe twice in my life.
Who are these girls? I don't understand any of this. I feel so lost. There's this girl sitting there who are talking to Sneeko and this other dude who are obviously misogynistic. And who are these? Where did they get them? Why are they there? What's the point of all of this? I don't understand what this is about. Like, this just seems like I don't know.
So I wouldn't say I grew up with a religious background. I don't think he's misogynist.
Who watches
And I'm
this?
also
I want to know
grew up in
who
a church,
watches
but my
this.
parents didn't talk to me about and like these things and prefer these things just recently. So
Let me explain what your vibration and what you're saying and why a lot of people watch this show and the importance of these podcasts is that there's a frustration that men have dealing with Western women because they're extremely masculine, they're combative, they think that they're equal, they don't make a lot of sense, they talk out of their mouth, they're always on social media, and then when you travel outside of the West and you see women who are actually feminine.
What girls does he know? My best friend's wife is a registered psychiatric nurse who's in NYU for her nurse practitioner job. I personally don't know what a wonderful value to have in a woman. Hardworking, intelligent, ambitious, can get things in her life. That sounds great. What is he looking for? I need to look up more of this Sneeko guy. I gotta watch more of his stuff. He just seems like a basic woman-hating idiot. That's all it is.
I just spent 3 weeks in Japan, and it is a breath of fresh air to see women who are naturally in that
That's what he's
state,
talking
who
about.
act like women, who don't prioritize rapping over being mothers, people who are happy that there's a binary, that there's men and women. There's none of this confusion. There's none of this back and forth. There's not this competition.
I mean, I can tell that
that's
you're
what the
confused,
frustration
Nico.
is that this is not natural.
I mean,
The
I
way
can tell
you're
that you're
acting,
confused.
Your career path and your dreams, your unwillingness to define misogyny, your worldview is frustrating to deal with. It's not hatred. It's I'm trying to explain that and why men, and probably why it's going to be difficult for you to settle down with the husband.
Sneeko, let me give you a word of advice, Sneeko. Let me give you a word of advice. Instead of men, this is why men say this is why I, right? This will solve all of your problems. Instead of why men, this is why I don't like you. Not why I don't like you. There's plenty of men out there who like that. This is why you don't like her. That's it. It's very simple. Very fucking simple.
Because you don't want to submit to a man. And that's how we're going to be happiest. That's why there's a rise in depression. That's why there's a rise in suicide. And
that's not why.
And all
that's
this.
not why.
This is the
he has no idea what he's saying.
Feminism.
He has no idea.
It's not.
He's just saying
it has nothing
shit.
to do with hatred. It has nothing to do with me hating you. I honestly don't care about you. I probably wouldn't talk to you if this wasn't on a podcast. I'm trying to explain a feeling that a lot of people are gravitating to and why Red Pill is blowing up so much, because it's tapping into this feeling that a lot of people realize now.
Yeah, Red Pill did blow up a little bit, but Red Pill is pretty dead. Anyone in the Red Pill community is kind of like icky and gross and disheveled, at least from my perspective. I don't know anyone who's in the Red Pill community that doesn't give me I got crusty socks vibes.
And they don't really know why, but this is what it is.
Can I say something quickly? Do you know why I like African men more in terms of like my taste? Because culturally, the same way that you're saying when you go outside the West, when I go outside the West, I'm more likely to find your average guy as an African man who has done a lot more manly things. The men in the West, actually, they are a bit
so
soft
like
in
the 20-year-old women, the 20-year-old guys who just can't get any and are blaming women for it. Just the new version of it. And Sneako's at the top of it. God. Oh my God. That's awful. That's awful.
Yeah, you can go make your money and have a career, but being a man is more than the money in your pocket. So actually, the problem goes both ways. There's a lot of men that are not doing what they're meant to do.
The guys in the 20 who are Red Pills can get women? You mean they can sleep with a woman, but can they actually like form a relationship with one? Right? Or actually like be with a girl or engage in a healthy sex life where they're not like coming after like 2 seconds or whatever it might be. Yeah.
As naturally masculine men.
No, absolutely. And I mean, I always say, because I travel around quite a lot, you know, I've been to Eastern Europe and also into South America as well. And when you go outside of the West, when you go outside of the Anglosphere, you see the difference. You see, and a lot of this stuff that we're talking about now is very culturally defined. It's a hothouse of this debate that's going on in England, and it's going on in America, and it's going on in Canada and Australia. Outside of these places, it's very, very different. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, it doesn't exist because people don't have the financial means to free themselves from their old ways of life. We are in a really amazing place that we can advocate. We're less and less bound by our need to be subservient to the whims of nature. Right? This is literally what we're doing. We don't have... Women can go on the pill. In some of those countries, women don't have access to birth control. Disease is more prevalent. Death is more prevalent. We are at a place in society where these notions are being explored and these notions are being talked about precisely because we can. We have the luxury of talking about them. They're saying as if it's a bad thing. If they think that's why depression is on the rise, well, let's put it this way. 60 years ago, when your husband was depressed and forced to work every day, he would come back home and he would put your head into a kitchen sink for fucking up dinner. Today, he goes and takes antidepressants. Today, the woman has the ability to leave him because there's of no fault divorce. The mental illness looks different throughout time and throughout history. And there was no even way of measuring it. So when we look at these other countries, their mental health might be lower. That's because there's no way to A, measure it, and B, it might manifest in different ways depending on what culture you're in.
Yeah.
And my point is that it's not really what you naturally want. You've been programmed by social media. You've been programmed. I guarantee you listen to Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B. You follow a lot of celebrities on Instagram, and I guarantee you have a lot of provocative pictures on Instagram. This is what happens when you follow that path and when you think that being a mother is comparable to being a cow. It's not what you naturally want. You have been brainwashed.
And you wouldn't be with a woman who makes more than you. So you're brainwashed yourself, babe. You would find it emasculating. Like, you don't like the fact that there's women now who can earn the same amount as you, doing the same thing as you, actually earn more than you, doing the same thing as you.
I asked you to name one relationship where that's worked.
And I've asked you the same question and you couldn't. So what's your point? What is your point?
Name one relationship where that works. Okay. I can name hundreds. What do you want? And let's say I couldn't name anything. Does that mean that I'm wrong? Why do people think that if they ask you a question that you can't answer, it somehow makes you wrong? Whatever.
The man's in charge and the man makes more.
Can I tell a factual story?
My parents.
Sorry.
They're so vapid right now. Sneeko has a habit of accusing people of being programmed or brainwashed.
Her children because that's what makes her happy. So do you still feel like,
well,
you know, being
I don't know what that means. I'm just saying you're brainwashed, you're programmed. That just doesn't mean anything. It's just an accusation to dismiss someone. It's just a dumb argument. That's really all it is.
And then they really want to. Or Beyonce will make a song, all the single ladies, and she's married. So they're
stayed with a guy that cheated.
And they're instilling this brainwashing because it sounds good, because it makes you feel empowered. It gives you dopamine in the moment, but it's not really what gives you long-term serotonin, actual happiness, actual higher purpose.
Serotonin is what gives you long-term happiness, as opposed to dopamine. This is a joke. This guy's a joke. This entire thing is a joke. I'm not going to keep watching this. I really am not. I need to watch something else. This is too brain-numbingly stupid for me. It really fucking is. It's brain-numbingly stupid. There has to be better stuff out there. There has to be better videos that these people talk about, because this is insane. I don't even know if to say that dopamine is a motivation chemical and not the happiness chemical even takes into account the role that dopamine and serotonin and all of these neurotransmitters play in our brain. Very, very different. It's not like, here, when you start taking SSRIs, your levels of like serotonin go back to normal within a couple of days. But symptoms of depression don't alleviate until a couple of weeks to a month later. This is exactly because of the fact that it's not the chemicals themselves that are the problem. Like, you can't reduce it like that. That is like, it's obvious he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's really that simple. It's literally that simple. Okay, this is another video that someone sent me. About two big brawly dudes who are, you know, Republitards or something like that. So let's see what this is about.
Got a new show for y'all. Got a damn good show. So everybody
They're twins.
knows
That's cool.
DeSantis is doing an outstanding job in Florida. Yeah, I really like that man.
An outstanding job banning books? Sure.
He's a damn good man.
In fact, he's
a very shrewd and astute politician. Yeah, I think he might even be the best ever. Now,
Are they facetious? Are they facetious? I can't tell if they're facetious, but they have like the Black Rifle coffee and they have like the freedom things. Sneeko's brainwashed by Andy Taint. Andy Taint? Andrew Tate. Got it. Took me a second there. I mean, I know that they have something in common, but I'm really just entering the sphere. I'm entering these live streamer spheres on YouTube. I've always really wanted to stay away from it, but you know, this is where I guess honey attracts flies or bees or whatever it is you want. This has a lot of honey, so I'm jumping in the pot. Get some honey on me, you know?
Kill me now. I know there's some faithful Trump supporters. You got to admit that damn DeSantis, man. That damn Ron Sanctimonious, that man is the shit.
You know what I found about Republicans? Everybody's praising this dude during COVID, the things he's doing down in Florida.
Yeah.
As soon as his name came up, running for president, oh, he's a Soros. Soros supports him. He's a rhino.
Yeah, he's a rhino.
What?
He's deep state.
Yeah, why is that?
I mean, they're actually not wrong that the Republican establishment, or at least Trump, is afraid of DeSantis. They're not wrong about that whatsoever at all. 100% they're not wrong about that. But Trump is threatened by him because, you know, this is politics. They're trying to win. And DeSantis does have he was doing really, really well in the polls. But it's interesting to hear the perspective. They think he did well in Florida. He's not doing well in Florida by any means, right? Florida just had a massive problem with their building codes, and when that building collapsed, investors pulled out of Florida. Florida is dealing with different legal battles with Disney, as if that's a W in some sort of way. I mean, literally the biggest employer in Orlando, right? They literally own areas of land in Florida. You don't want to mess with, Florida's got borders. Disney doesn't have borders. And obviously with the whole anti-CRT, anti-trans nonsense. Wasn't it a while back the ACLU said that, Florida is a dangerous place for trans people, that trans people should look to like move out of there or something? Well, they're not wrong about that. DeSantis did scare Trump, and he does scare Trump.
I'm just asking a serious question. Even if they said Soros is backing him, right? I said, so how's that? Shut up. So how is that an indictment on DeSantis? He has virtually no control on who supports him. When Trump was running for president, who was that Klan member came out and said he was voting for him? Yeah. And then all the left was coming to look, he's got a KKK member voting for him, and we defended him, rightfully so. Yeah, Trump has no discretion in who votes for.
No, there's an old Jewish saying: if there's one Nazi at the table and 10 people are sitting down, there are 10 Nazis at the table. DeSantis consistently has Nazis, white supremacists, and people of that like show up to his rallies, and he doesn't condemn it. He doesn't say anything about that. So when a white supremacist starts openly saying, hey, I'm voting for this candidate, if I was the candidate, the first thing that I would do is say, I don't want to associate with that guy. None of my principles stand for what he stands for. I do not like him. I disavow him. I want nothing to do with it. When I see DeSantis or Trump say that, I'll say, okay, but they're not saying that. They're having a hard time doing so. That's because a lot of their base, is a little racist. Just a little bit.
For him or who doesn't vote. Like DeSantis doesn't have any discretion over who supports him. Yeah. All I'm saying is, be better than that. If you don't like DeSantis, make a valid argument. Don't make up bullshit. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Don't make a bullshit argument. Don't say Soros supporting. That's fair. If you don't like DeSantis, that's actually fair. So far, I'm these guys, they look like two idiots, but that's fair. Make a good argument. Don't just say Soros supports them. I mean,
hell, I think I'm going to run for governor. You crazy as hell. You ain't got that Trump money to pay off these people off. Remember that fool you threw out the car about around 25? Yeah, y'all think Trump got skeletons. No, I got skeletons. Yeah, the only thing they got on Trump is maybe some money paid off that horse face lady. That's nothing compared to us.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, but anyway. I got bodies in my closet. No, you ain't got bodies stacked on top of bodies. Stop. No, Kevin's embellishing. He's full of shit. Yeah, don't believe it. I was just joking. He was just exaggerating. But anyway, so y'all, we've all heard about the legislation that just passed in Florida. Keeping trans kids, not keeping that from being a thing in that state. Yeah. Wait till you're 18.
Rightfully so, man. Right? Kids, you shouldn't push that on kids. They're not making.
These guys clearly don't know what they're talking about.
Kids are not making that decision. Their parents are. Yeah. All these people that are transgender and they're pushing this on kids, they didn't make the decision until they was in the early 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s.
No. I get really tired of this argument of like teens can't make decisions. Kids can't make decisions. Kids and teens can make a lot of decisions about their life. What sports they go into, what classes they take, whether or not they want to be sexually active when they're like 16, 17. There's a lot of decisions that teens can make about themselves. If a kid comes to you and tells you, oh, I am a woman or I am a man, when a trans person, they can make that decision about themselves. And keeping hormone replacement therapy or puberty blockers from them doesn't do anything but hurt them, right? There's just evidence out there. The evidence is quite clear that gender affirming care lowers the risk of suicidality. It lowers the risk. It lowers the prevalence of depression, lowers the prevalence of anxiety, lowers the prevalence of body dysmorphia. It works. It just does. That's what the evidence shows. So they did say they just don't want trans kids. I mean, they just admitted it.
But now they're trying to push this on 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-years.
2, 3 years old.
prepubescent kids. That's sick and disgusting.
Yeah. I mean, a little kid can't go into the doctor's office. Hey, I want to be a wild man now. Yay!
Man, that was creepy as hell.
Do these people even research
You
anything
like a
they
damn
talk
groom
about?
when you was doing that.
So
Obviously
these people,
not. Obviously
okay, so
not.
I think this is some
Why am I
kind
even
of
asking that
city hall or
question?
something where the citizens
Obviously
of
not.
Florida
Obviously
coming
not.
out to stand up against DeSantis.
Don't let me guess. I haven't seen the video yet, but let me just take a wild guess. It's a bunch of women, right?
Yeah.
How did I know that?
I would take it a step further.
It's a bunch of women.
Blue, green, and purple-haired weirdos to me.
Yeah. Hey, I read up on Socrates, man. He was a sole believer that everybody shouldn't be able to vote in a free society. You have to.
Ouch. I read up on Socrates that everyone should not be able to vote in a free society. Okay. While there might be some sort of like ultimate, like a tiny bit of truth in that statement, that's not what he meant at all in any way, shape, or fucking form. At all. At all. Like absolutely at all. That's not what that meant. Okay? Not even a little bit. Socrates critiqued the idea that democracy, or a pure democracy, is like asking, the analogy he basically put together is like, would you ask people who know nothing about what it takes to pilot a ship, and by ship he means like a boat in the ocean, vote on who should be the captain of it? That's what he's talking about. He's talking about direct democracies. He's talking about democracies that don't have any real forms of government, any real forms of checks and balances. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about just the idea of pure democracies out there. Non-merit-based democracies. In the United States, not everyone can vote. Children can't vote. We've arbitrarily decided 18, or criminals can't vote. Some people can't even run for office. You have to be 35 or older to become president. We have these boundaries around democratic norms specifically to make sure that democracy does function. But he's just going to appeal to Socrates now and say that's why SJWs shouldn't vote. Because there's like no grasp in this person's brain, from what I can tell in the last 3 minutes and 40 seconds, of how politics even works. Not at all. Not one little bit. They don't understand how politics works. You know what this looks like to me? This looks like Camacho Man from Idiocracy, like his belt, like the president's belt, or the big burly Terry Crews or something.
You have to prove yourself. You have to have the capacity to vote. I'm a sole believer that some of these people should not be voting in our society because they are a detriment to society. Yeah. To society, themselves, and everybody around them. They'll ruin our country. If you don't have the capacity to think on a rational and logic level, you shouldn't be able to vote. And that doesn't make me a fascist or anything like that. It makes me have common sense.
No, it makes you a fascist to think that only specific people that you like should vote and participate in democracy because they're too dumb to do so. Yeah, that literally does. I want to vote for my boss unironically. Casey, I don't think democratic, worker co-ops or whatever are bad in any shape, way, or form. But I think if we think that worker co-ops or workplaces with just direct democracy, everyone votes, no organization, no structure, no bureaucracy whatsoever, will actually yield good results, I doubt that. I think that democratic norms need to have some sort of ritualistic or mechanisms or process to them that helps them iron out their issues, right? Because we have to make sure that people can actually communicate back and forth, right? We want to have some sort of like Congress. We want to have some sort of body that can make decisions. It doesn't have to be representative. You can have parliamentary, many ways of doing it. I'm not creative enough to think of all the possible ways, but I do think that one of the issues and one of the things that are important for co-ops to get right is their ability to adapt and and have like the ability to adapt and change depending on the circumstance. And I think democratic models of current countries lack that ability because they're specifically supposed to be non-risk taking. They're supposed to They're designed to have gridlock, to not have radical changes within a society, as that's what breaks it down. But it could be that for a company, for a corporation, that might be good to have like a radical change or a rebranding. I'm not really sure, but that's just things I'm spitballing off the top of my head.
We need to take the rights away from these damn women. Yeah, I agree with all that, but you finna get us banned, motherfucker. What's wrong with you? What? Can't say that shit. I'm just sharing the philosophy of an old gay white dude.
No, he never said we should get rid of women.
Community. Wouldn't it be amazing if the whole LGBTQ had the mindset and the capacity of Socrates? Man, this would be a beautiful place. This would be a beautiful place. It'd be a beautiful place. Everybody be gay, but it'd be beautiful.
Hey, check out this video.
I was once a trans youth, and now I'm a happy 22-year-old trans adult student at New College of Florida. This is my health care.
Ma'am, okay.
Don't tread on it.
Senator Yarborough has militarized.
Okay. Yeah, you would have a lot to say about that. What do you think about these two guys, Mega, who talk about Socrates being gay and all of that crazy shit? Right? Did you see that? Do you want me to play it again for you? About them talking about Socrates, that he's learning philosophy? Base girl. Yes, correct. The girl is base. This is my healthcare. Correct. This is true. Yes, okay, let's play that again. Let me play that again.
Member of the LGBT community.
Wouldn't it be amazing if the whole LGBTQ had the mindset and the capacity of Socrates?
Man, this would be a beautiful place.
This would be a beautiful place.
It'd be a beautiful place. Everybody be gay, but it'd be beautiful.
Hey, check out this video.
If one of these guys had half the brain cell of Socrates, the world would be a better place. One of them, just one of them needed it. No, 1/60th of one cell of Socrates' brain. Okay, in the Symposium, there's a bit of where Alcibiades wanted to have sex with Socrates, but he wouldn't because even though he was physically beautiful, he was mentally ugly. Okay, that's dope. I like that. That's pretty dope, actually. I didn't know that.
I was once a trans youth, and now I'm a happy 22-year-old trans adult student at New College of Florida. This is my health care.
Ma'am, okay.
Don't tread on it.
Senator Yarborough has militarized the Florida GOP.
You stupid bitch. What the hell was that? She used to "don't tread on me." You know, us Republicans, us conservatives, we say don't tread on my rights. Yeah, Second Amendment. She took out a vaccine needle and said don't tread on me.
It wasn't a vaccine needle. It was her hormones. What are you talking about? That's all that was. It was her hormones. Nothing else, nothing more. And yeah, when they say don't tread on me, they just don't want big government getting involved with their medical decisions. Because, you know, if we look at, I mean, there's not, look at these guys. Look at his shirt. We the people with the gun on it. 1776. These guys, Black Rifle Company coffee. These guys are gun nuts. I'm sure they definitely have videos of them just railing out on some Bud Light cans, you know? Just fucking up some Bud Light cans. I'm sure they have those videos. But what they don't recognize, even a tiny bit, even an inchy bit, is that guns in America are responsible for the reason why so much police fatalities, homicides. Yeah, so much police fatality happen. People who work as police officers are, it's already a dangerous enough job when every other idiot has access to an AR. Every other idiot has access to a shotgun, to a semi-automatic. I love guns. I actually do enjoy shooting guns. But I do think there definitely needs to be way, way stricter gun control. This is not even like an argument. The evidence is quite clear. For those who don't know, a really good resource for this is the Harvard School of Public Health Guns. They have a really good resource. So here it is. They have a really, really good research source where we can look at research, faculty and research. No, where is it? Let me just look up guns. That usually works. Oh, guns and public health right here. Here, so they have, where is it? Come on. They have like a whole thing. Let me look back in the search bar. Here, I already looked this up. Perfect. Here, this is the shit. I'll put it in the chat for people who are interested. But just having this, you know, I should also save this in my favorites. Having this saved in your favorites, you know, anytime you talk to someone about guns, you have all the research you need. Firearms research, books, so you can look, for example, how does gun ownership lead to homicide or something like that here? Accidents. Homicide followed by suicide. Homicide, right? There are literal studies here that literally say across high-income nations, more guns equals more homicide, right? They analyze the relationship between homicide and gun availability using data from 26 developed countries in the early 1990s. And they found that across developed countries where more guns are available, there are more homicides. The result often held even true in the United States. Even when you exclude the United States, it's true. So for them to worry about, you know, trans children taking puberty blockers and hormone replacement therapy, no one isn't even nearly getting as hurt as from guns. It's not even close. It's not even close whatsoever. And you know, we should amend the Constitution, make that medical care is a right. I'm 100%. Medical care is a right. Period. End of story. And if anyone is watching who thinks that negative rights are bad, it's only negative rights, and because I give you the right to healthcare, I now have to make sure that there's a doctor in every street corner. That's not how that works. In the United States, we have a right to education. Everybody's to be educated, right? If you don't take your kids to be educated, they literally get taken away from you. And no one is being forced to be a teacher, even though we do have teacher shortages. So it's already not happening. Calm the fuck down.
Who's trying to take away your rights to have a vaccine?
It's not a vaccine. It's not a vaccine.
One person, you stupid.
It's not a vaccine.
Now, I would say she does not have the capacity.
It's not a vaccine.
Yeah, she shouldn't be able to vote. She's totally biased. She's let her personal feelings and opinions dictate how she thinks. She is the most dangerous. Someone who thinks like it's the most dangerous person on this planet.
They say that January 6th was a danger to our democracy.
No, people like this is a danger to our democracy. It's a danger to each and every one.
How much views does this have?
Yeah, our freedoms. Seriously,
you have to be kidding me. You have to be kidding me. These people have 2.42 million subscribers? This can't be real. What the fuck? How much money do these idiots make? I cannot believe that these people have so much subscribers. Oh my God, this is like, oh my goodness. I'm shooketh. I'm shooketh to the core. Thank you, Daltsu. I love you, bro. Mwah. This is insane. I can't believe it. Social Blade, right? The conservative twins. How much money do they probably, and then they have all those fucking, oh my God, these guys, how much money do they make just from YouTube? How much do they make a month? In the, oh my, between, they probably, if you just average this out, they probably make like 50K, 40K a month from YouTube. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. I cannot believe this is the thing. Oh, their subscribership dropped. Am I crazy? No, the rate at which they get subscribers has dropped a lot. What happened September 2020? I guess, I don't know. They just blew up, I guess. They've been pretty stagnant ever since, but money gained. God, unbelievable. Unbelievable. This is terrifying. This is fucking terrifying. Unbelievable. I don't even have words to like describe like how horrified I am at what I just learned. I don't even have words. None whatsoever. I can't believe the amount of money these idiots make.
Bias. She's let her personal feelings and opinions dictate how she thinks. She is the most dangerous. Someone who thinks like it's the most dangerous.
They're actually so fucking stupid that they don't recognize that that they're calling her a she, but it's a cis. It's not a. It's a trans woman. They're that dumb that they don't recognize it's a trans woman. this can't be real.
Beautiful place. Everybody be gay, but it be beautiful.
I mean, honestly, she's passing to them.
I was once a trans youth, and now I'm a happy 22-year-old trans adult student at New College of Florida. This is my health care.
You know something? For me to even say that it's she or a trans woman, that's already for me. I already fucked up. If they don't identify as a woman, why do they just right? Whatever it is. I'm being a bigot, maybe. I'll get canceled now. No, don't let me get canceled. But,
Ma'am, okay, don't tread on it.
Senator Yarborough has militarized the Florida.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
My point. Keep rolling.
Yeah, keep rolling. Shut up.
Senator Yarborough has militarized the Florida GOP into the genital Gestapo. Ron DeSantis wants trans people dead. You are committing genocide.
Wait a minute. You mean tell me DeSantis rounding up gay people and putting them in concentration camps? Did you call Ron DeSantis the Gestapo?
Yeah, think about it. Take a second. Breathe. You can get the word out, buddy. You got this. Slow down. Open your mouth.
Calm down.
Genitalia.
I'm sick of these people. What you call that down there? Genitalia.
Genitalia
The
Gestapo.
genitalia Gestapo?
Do they not understand? I mean, they obviously don't. They don't understand that when you say someone is committing genocide, you're not saying they're putting them in trains and sending them to Auschwitz. Genocides have been perpetrated throughout history in many different ways throughout many different times. It doesn't look the same everywhere. It just doesn't. So when they're talking about trans genocide, and what I think they're talking about, not a literal, like they're going to go on the streets and take trans people, but it is these laws and the existing. Okay. Let me back up a little bit. For those who don't know, one of the first groups during Nazi Germany to get picked on and like destroyed, the first book burning was of a trans research unit in one of their like academic circles or universities. That was literally the first book burning in Nazi Germany. And there's a history between fascism and hate of gay people, trans people, etc. So when they're comparing them to genocide, what they're saying is that by taking away these tools, gender affirming care, hormones, puberty blockers, they're not letting a community exist, because even if they weren't getting those treatments, they'll still be trans. They'll just be more likely to have depression, more likely to have anxiety, more likely to have suicidality, more likely to have gender dysphoria and all of the other comorbid issues that arise from that. So that's because to be trans is not something that you just become. It's your identity. It's who you are. And this kind of reminds me of rhetoric from the 80s about, oh, you're going to make them gay. No, people are just gay. People are also just trans. And we don't have to essentialize things to biology. You watching it out there, you know who you are. It doesn't have to be a female brain or a male brain. It doesn't have to be only biological. Environment and biology both play together to give us our identity and give us who we are. And that's just how that works. And just because it also happens in the environment doesn't mean it's invalid.
I would call the calm down, our anxiety's kicking in.
Gestapo. Ga.
I would call what did she say? I would call the genitalia Gestapo the people who's taking kids 2, 3, 4 years old. Yeah. Prepubescent kids. Giving them chopping drugs. Tits off and giving them drugs. And y'all were doing this to minors. You should be calling yourselves that, because they're not making that decision. Their parents are. Another capacity thing, right? And I might add another woman. Y'all know women couldn't vote before. You know why, don't you? That's why. Yeah. They think with their hearts. They don't think with their brains. Now, I'm not saying all women are like that. I'm just saying liberal women are like that.
These guys are idiots. I want to keep seeing the panelists though, the people who show up. Like that's all I care about.
Keep this show rolling.
Nazis and what you people are doing is no different. This is transphobic. It is cruel, and you really should be ashamed.
Man, start over. What the hell she say? Nazis. Just start over.
Are they gonna call her fat? I bet you they're gonna call her fat.
In Germany, in the aftermath Nazis, and what you people are doing is no different. This is transphobic, it is cruel, and you really should be ashamed.
You were doing my signing this.
We're doing what the Nazis are doing.
You know what the Nazis did, right?
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah. I'll tell you. I'll tell you what they did. They burned trans book. They stopped recognizing trans people as the gender they identify with, which some doctors during the Weimar Republic did. Yeah, they did do that. They did. They just did. It's just a fact. It's just literally a fact. I'm sorry, guys. It's just a fact.
You know what the Nazis did. She said she grew up in Germany and she experienced what happened. You need to go back there. You need to
She didn't experience what happened. These guys are.
go back where you came from. Wait a minute. When did that happen? World War II. That was a long time ago. Was she even alive?
These guys are so dumb.
Well, she's showing my.
I want to keep seeing the panelists. Please give me the panelists.
What the hell?
Is an act of war.
Let's go to the next video.
You are doing by signing this bill is an act of war. The way it is, as it is now,
Take your mask off.
my people will die. And that blood, if you support this bill, will be on your hands.
What the hell did he just say? Pause it. Did he say people's going to die if you prevent kids from getting trans?
Yes,
surgeries?
correct.
He said blood is
Not
gonna be
not
on
just.
y'all's hands.
It's not just surgeries. Gender affirming care.
The only blood on.
No, I can't. This is also done. Too dumb. Too dumb. Too long. I gotta find short things that are dumb. If they're so dumb and they're too long, I literally physically can't do it. I just want to rip their faces out of the screen and punch it out of existence. It's that brain numbingly stupid. This is why I've never watched this stuff. It's just so brain numbingly stupid that I can't even get around to it at all whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. It's absolutely too stupid. Absolutely too fucking stupid. Completely too fucking stupid. Absolutely. Okay. This is another hour and 12-minute video from Vaush about politics. Politics 101. Getting started. Okay. This is a remaster of an old and popular video. In the coming weeks, we'll be making 3 more history. Did he actually do it? Oh yeah, how to make an argument with Professor Vaush. See the description. Okay. Okay. Let's see this thing. Oh yeah, I know my face is super large. There we go. Now my face is normal. Aha. Let's see this.
Hey there. My name is Vosh. I'm a political live streamer and YouTuber, and I am also a socialist. I mention that primarily because I believe that it's really important to understand any biases that go into the media that you consume. There's always a bias. There's always an edge,
not wrong.
you know?
It's not the worst take I've ever heard so far.
That informs my politics and my perspectives. But I think that what I have to say is applicable and agreeable no matter what your political perspective is. I mean, even if you really, really disagree with me. So I get a lot of questions about what it is that I believe and broadly like how to engage with politics. I mean, politics is important. People care about it a lot. A lot of money and time goes into the study and exercise of political power. And sometimes the questions that people ask me are so broad, so fundamental that it's almost impossible for me to give a direct answer. I mean, sometimes people ask me stuff where I feel like sometimes I don't even know the answer directly. It's so simple that it's unintuitive. A while ago, like 2 years ago, I made a video called Politics 101 with Professor Vosh. That's a lie right there. I'm not actually a professor, but you know, it's an explanatory video. It's 2.5 hours long. I look like crap, old webcam. The site looks like crap, old site. I mean, all of it's just a mess, but a lot of people like this video because I broke down my approach
I get the point.
to politics. It's not just why, like, how do you go? That's
Let's see how he talks about politics.
And what is that? To think about it.
Okay, he's still talking about it.
And descriptive claims.
Let's
see. They're called normative claims and
Okay.
descriptive claims.
Fine.
Okay?
That's
now
a fine
a descriptive claim, which I'll represent with a large D. See, look, I've even
Sure.
bolded it there. See, it's like word art, like clip art. You know, a descriptive claim is a claim about the world which is empirical. It's measurable. It's substantive. I could say, for example, that upon this hand I have 5 fingers. Now, if you want to, you could be infinitely reductive.
Descriptive versus prescriptive.
5 fingers.
Sure.
The philosophical meanderings, okay? Here's otherwise is to mix up.
That's true. They're not necessarily empirical, Sour Castle, but I don't think he said they're necessarily empirical. I think he's giving an overall thing. True. 2 + 2 is a priori. But I think he's generally talking to. I mean, I don't think it's the worst example, honestly.
True. It might not be. That's not the point here. But if it were true, it's a descriptive claim. You can measure it. That's not the point.
No. Descriptive things. No. Things. No.
If it were true, it's a descriptive claim. You can measure it. There's a yes or a no answer to that, whether or not most women are housekeepers. But the second claim, the normative claim.
Fine.
With.
Oh, my camera just froze, but it should come back online in a second.
The normative claim is about what the world ought be. The distinction essentially is ought, and this is a concern in the philosophical world and academia, and it has.
I don't know what's going on right now, but my camera is freaking the fuck out. Let's unplug it and plug it back in. Dang, okay. Let's see. There we go. I'm back. Oh, and beautiful as ever. I just pressed something wrong. Let me get the focus right real quick, and then we'll be on our way. Perfect. There we go.
Been for a very long time. It's called the is-ought gap. How do you arrive at what the world should be when all you know is what the world is? That's the is-ought gap right there, and it's
that's a very simple. It's a very simplistic way to understand the is-ought gap, but he didn't really explain like the belly of like the is-ought gap, what really makes it like a thing. So when I was taking modern philosophy, I think had a really good professor who showed us this thing that I really liked. Is there like a online version of Paint? Paint, yeah, there is an online version of Paint. Excellent. So when I was, he showed us this thing. I mean, basically, it's an explanation of to understand the is-ought gap. Does this work? No, it's a line. This a pencil? That's a pencil. That's not thick enough, though. We want a thitch. We want a really thitch. How do I make it thitcher? No. Is the brush do the trick? No. Okay, that's garbage. I'm just going to open up Paint and then add it to the stream. So that's just what's happening. Here we go. Because he's got Paint, I'm also going to get Paint to explain them. That's how this is going to work. I'm the OG Paint user. I've been using Paint for as long as Paint was a thing. So I don't want to hear about his ass using my Paint. Paint, there we go. Okay. So here we go. Get Paint going. Okay, so when we think of like the is-ought gap, we have to think of substances. Like, what are we talking about specifically? At least this is like where the is-ought gap gets problematic. When we're describing something, right, if it can be truthful, it's a thing that is divisible. Okay, it can be divided up into parts. For example, 2 + 2 = 4. I can kind of divide it up. I can split it up into these many ideas. This would be like descriptive. The stuff that exists, the substances that have some sort of cognitive divisibility to them. We can separate them. I can have half the amount of women who go to church on Sunday. I can think about that. It's divisible. I have half the amount of fingers on my hand. I can half the 4, right? It's divisible. Normative claims or ought statements are indivisible. Right? they can't be divided. I can't have half a good, right? Or I can't have half a should. What does that even mean, right? So when we look at the is as opposed to the ought, they spell ought with the GHT. Slightly dyslexic, so if that's wrong, that's wrong. I don't care. Then A, who gives a shit? The is versus the ought. The difference is that the is a divisible concept and the ought is an indivisible concept. So the question becomes, how does something that is indivisible interact with something that's divisible and vice versa? This is where the is-ought gap started, and it started with Descartes' conception of dualism. And this is one of the big critiques against him, was that he thought that they interact in some way, and they never did. Ever at all. There's still no understanding of how the indivisible interacts with the divisible. I personally think that the reason for this has nothing to do with, you know, the concepts themselves. It's just our paradigm around it. We haven't thought differently about the question, so we can't really do anything about it. It just doesn't make sense to us because, well, doesn't make sense. We don't have the right tools, the right language, right ability to even like process it.
Basically been the, you know, the center of philosophical discourse for as long as we've had philosophical discourse. Because all we know is what the world is, really. How do we arrive at what the world should be from that? Well, the
shoulds very much are imprinted upon us. No, when we learn shoulds, we know shoulds. We feel them. They're real to us in many respects. So not necessarily. Not all we know is.
There are many ways to do that, actually. You see, there's something called an axiom. Okay?
Oh, sure.
An axiom,
yes,
or
what's an axiom,
first
Mr. Vosh?
principle, or properly basic belief. There were a lot of terms
That's
that
fine.
mean
He's not
very
super wrong
similar
right
things. It fundamentally refers to a core value that you hold. Okay? I'm going to draw a little axiom right here. And I mean, when I say core value, I mean the most, it looks kind of like a little anarchy symbol, doesn't it? Here, I don't want that necessarily. Here, I'll make it a little, see, there we go. Still cute.
Yeah, axiom doesn't mean first basic. No.
You see, there's something called an axiom. Okay? An axiom, or a first principle, or properly basic belief, there are a lot of terms that mean very similar things. It fundamentally refers to a core value that you hold.
Listen,
okay?
if he's Sour Castle, if he's talking to like the common like person who doesn't know anything, this is not the worst lesson they'll get. It might push them down the wrong path if they don't continue exploring this. But correct, first principles are not the same as axioms. You're correct. You're 100% right. Metaphysics could be called first philosophy, which deals with axioms and first principles, but is not axioms. Yes, sure. But I think he's talking like these generalities. I don't think it's the worst explanation I've ever heard. There's definitely been worse explanations out there.
Our little axiom right here. And I mean, when I say core value, I mean the most, it looks kind of like a little anarchy symbol, doesn't it? Here, I don't want that necessarily. Here, I'll make it a little, see, there we go. Still cute. See, I like the anarchy too, but we'll try to keep our concepts distinct here. Make it a Dragon Ball. You know what? Yeah, let's do that. Here, hold on. Little mouse stars. Yeah. There,
could have just done a one-star Dragon Ball.
Think of that as
one star would have done it.
See, there's the 3-star one. An axiom is a fundamental moral belief about the world.
It's not. No, it's not.
So I'll give you a really simple one.
That's not true. That's not true. An axiom is not. It's a statement. That's what we can do to really make this really easy. You just look up axiom. Bum. We have Google. Why not Google things when you don't understand? A postulate, an assumption, is a statement that is taken to be true, the premise or a starting point. That's what an axiom is. And you also can't just pick one up at the grocery store. That's true, 1000%. But he's using the wrong language. I know what he's trying to get at, right? Because I understand this topic. But if you don't know anything, and this is like your first time thinking about axioms, no, they're not. You're right. They're not properly basic belief. You're 100% right, Sour Castle. I understand what he's getting at. I just think for philosophy reasons, this is pretty bad. But a little philosophy, he's rushing through it. I want to see where he gets to it, right? Because he might be wrong here, but he might use the axioms in like a roundabout way to try to get a point across before he gets into, what is this? Thought experiment, enlightenment, liberalism versus capitalism, work or starve, reducing systemic violence, socialism and fascism, political compass, sociological imagination. Okay.
I believe in. And to describe it in its entirety would take a lot of qualifying and a lot of explaining, but simply, I believe that the well-being of living things should be maximized. That is to say, I think that if you're conscious,
thinks the well-being of living things should be maximized. Sure, whatever. It's a pretty bland statement that you can say, I want people to be well. Nice. I don't know, what does that mean?
Because I like animals too, you know. If you're conscious, if you can think, if you're engaging with the world.
I actually think the well-being of even non-conscious things should matter. I don't know why consciousness matters here. What is this like weird trait thing that he's talking about? And in some cases, the well-being of some things shouldn't matter.
That life should be made good for you. We have finite lifespans. I personally prefer being happy to being unhappy. Just a personal opinion of mine. Seems other people feel the same way. Hell, even animals seem to feel the same way. We all seem to be pretty much united in our preference for happiness over unhappiness. So, since that seems nice, I have an axiomatic preference for the well-being of living things.
Now, an axiomatic preference. He's definitely using axiom wrong. Just if you're getting anything from this, just know that he's using axiom totally. I have a belief. Beliefs are not axioms. They're not. Having a belief, having a grounding for what you think is like the right way to do things in the world, that's cool. But that's not an axiom. As it says right here, an axiom is a postulate or assumption, is a statement that is taken to be true. So for example, axioms could also be understood as necessary for making sense of things, in a way. So like, I take this to be true, so other notions become true. We adopt an axiom to make sense of other issues. For example, it would be like, this is like atheism 1.0. We're going 10 years ago, right? The logical absolutes. Logic works. Sure, that's an axiom we can hold, I guess, maybe, whatever. Right? Very confused. This guy's very confused about philosophy in this regard.
No, that's worth pursuing. Well, this is where we get to moral realism, and this gets more complicated than I can really delve into, but philosophers have differing ideas on the extent to which you can prove that an axiom is correct. For the purposes of this video, I'm not going to go into that, and I don't want to dally too much in the philosophy stuff, because of all the subjects we're going to discuss, this is the one that I have there's the greatest distance between how much respect I have for it and how much I know about it. A lot of respect, but it's very complicated.
Okay, he's saying he doesn't know. No, it's not a part of that. Listen, he says he doesn't really know. I can't get my screen open again, so big. I'm such an idiot. Listen, he obviously knows that he's not like the smartest philosophy guy. Whatever. Next. We can move that. Let's talk about thought experiments with him. What is he talking about here? What's happening with this video, for fuck's sakes?
You can fix it through systemic.
Yeah, so logic works would be a properly basic belief. It's sure. Again, an axiom is a postulate. It's a thing. It makes to start building off ideas on. It's really that. It's a postulate, an assumption, a statement to be taken to be true. That's fine. But it's not the same thing as like morals. I guess he's trying to say that for a moral system, he has this axiom. Sure. I think nitpicking this is a bit unnecessary. I don't think it's such a big issue unless you're trying to get into philosophy and like read philosophical ideas and stuff like that. Yeah, correct. They're for things for a particular discourse, for a particular perspective, like I was saying. You need it to make sense of something, but it doesn't. I think he's just whatever. He clearly says, right, he doesn't know anything about this. It's a thing he's the least comfortable with. And that makes sense. The way he was talking about it doesn't necessarily 100%, but he does understand, like, you know, the broad top nuggets there. He could look at a cheesecake and know the basic ingredients of what goes into a cheesecake, but he has no idea how to turn that cheesecake into something else, or how to use the same ingredients, or how to play around with the ingredients. He found a recipe for a cheesecake, learned how to make a cheesecake, and now he understands that cheesecakes involve cheese and cake. So, right, the difference between like a cheese souffle, like as a chef or as a cook, you have to understand the ingredients or the thoughts or the concepts in a real deep way so you can manipulate them. He obviously doesn't have the knowledge to do that. But I think overall, from an overarching perspective, it's not the worst thing I've ever heard. It's like I wouldn't be too harsh on him for that, honestly.
Solutions. If you talk to most conservatives, they'll describe it as an individual issue that can be solved with individual solutions, usually hard work or a really strong work ethic. So even if you agree that there's a problem, how to solve that problem is still a matter of consequence. What you need to do is you need to find out how to draw the line from a thing that you support all the way back to the axiomatic belief that it connects to. So I'll give you an example of that really, really easily, okay? Let's talk.
You have to look at a thing that you support and how that ties. Even you have to look at how this lines up with your values. Is that all that you're saying? when you look, I mean, wait. Yeah, when you look at policy, you have to ask, how does this align with my values? For example, if my value is like Sneeko from a second ago, was that women should be little, you know, house slaves, then policy that makes women be more like little house slaves or stops them from being able to, like, for example, abort a baby because it's going to stop them from being able to live and exercise their life as they want to, I'm for that. That lines up with my values. And then human beings will rationalize and make these decisions, right? So a lot of times we have like opinions and there are facts, and we look at the facts and we rationalize them of why they are true, or better facts than other people's facts, or more correct facts than other people's facts, because they're lining up with our values. That happens a lot. But yeah, of course, you look at policy, it has to be lined up with your values. That's very basic. I don't think he needed the whole axiom nonsense there in the beginning. I guess he tried to ground it in something real. I don't think that was necessary.
Talk about trans people, which we never do on this channel. You know, a little bit of a departure from the norm, okay? Let's talk about trans healthcare, trans-affirming healthcare, okay? So here's a position that I have, okay? And I'm going to walk you through it step by step. I believe that trans healthcare should be covered by Medicare and Medicaid. I think that it should be covered. It shouldn't be considered a cosmetic treatment, that it should be considered core medical care. That's a belief that I have. So I'll represent that belief with a little star right here. So somebody might ask me why.
Sure.
And then the answer that I would give to that why is because the medical research seems to indicate that trans people's relationships to medicine pertaining to their transness is something severe. It's something that relates very, very directly to their well-being. It's not just cosmetic. It's not just to make them feel better. This is every bit as essential to them as, you know, well, essential medical care that's not related to my gender identity would be to me. And then they could say, okay, fine, maybe, but why? And then I would say, because I believe that society giving special provisions to people who have necessary medical treatments benefits society. I think that we're better off, that society is better off when we're willing to give a little bit more leeway.
No, I just noticed my face covers his face. Should I move my face to not cover his face so we can see his bearded self talking there? Let's do it. Let's put me up here. Let's change the spot around a bit. Yeah. I'm above him. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Whether that be financial support or whatever else, to people who need essential medical care. And then they would say, oh, well, why? And then I would say because the access to essential.
I mean, yeah, he's basically talking to like a brainlet, right? He's talking to someone who just literally doesn't know fuck all about thinking, honestly. But this is this is like basic to the point of like talking to people, like talking to like 5th graders or 6th graders. People pretty much intuitively understand that, hey, I have a value. I should make like policy that helps my value. But I think the more important thing to understand here is that you have people who think trans affirming care is bad, and their value is they want to save children. They want to be good. They think it's better for the kid. They're still following their value. But what they're not doing is they're not recognizing that their rationalization, or they have no real epistemology to understand what is truth to begin with. Why is something valid? Why is something true? How do I know if it helps someone? They don't have that. So in order to be able to do politics 101, you first have to understand how to even tell if something is how to tell what evidence is, how to tell what things tell you when you look at them. So when you look at statistics, when you basically have to be educated. You want to be able to do politics right, you have to educate yourself. Just learning that my values, my policy should be downstream of my values is stupid. It's really, really, really stupid, because what if my values are psychotic? Then should my policy be downstream of my values? What should my values be? Does he talk about what one's values ought to be when thinking politically? Why we have those values, right? Why those values are good? What makes a value good to begin with? These are much more interesting questions than follow your values. It's like follow the yellow brick road, find the man. Like this doesn't really say anything to anyone.
Medical care, when needed, is a core component in human happiness. And then they would say, okay, fine, sure. So why is that important? And then I would tie it back to the axiom, because I think human well-being should be maximized. Does that make sense? I'm often frustrated when I talk to people who I disagree
really
with, because it seems like there's a disconnect between the things that they claim they believe and the things that they actually advocate for.
Yeah, that's because they don't understand that what they advocate for doesn't match up with their values. It's not because they don't try to match it up with their value. It's because they literally are too dumb or uneducated or can't read the information to recognize that it's beneficial for some, because they don't understand it. It's confusing. It's bizarre. The answers here, if you want to be politically active, first thing you got to do, recognize your hubris. Sit down and recognize your hubris. The first thing you have to do is recognize your hubris. Recognize that you're an idiot. And you want to get started going into politics? Go to your town meetings. Sit there, listen, pay attention. Hear what our issues are going around. See who the people are. I mean, I guess he's trying to teach them about politics, but this is not politics. This is, how do I talk to someone about my values?
For example, lying is wrong.
What is he talking about here? Deontology versus utilitarianism?
There are a lot of poor people, and if you really want to read Kant, you can, but God. A deontologist, put really simply, believes that the moral worth of an action is determined by the action in and of itself. That, for example, lying is wrong, or that that stealing is wrong. Just like flat out, like bar none. Like that's done right there.
Rule-based philosophy, sure.
Than that, but that's the gist of it. Whereas a consequentialist is of the opinion that it is only the consequences of an actions that are wrong. That is to say, stealing is often wrong because the consequences of stealing often lead to an immoral redistribution of resources.
Button. Gotta remember, press the button.
If
press the button.
I don't know, stealing guns from someone who you know is going to put out a hit on.
How about just Les Mis, right? Jean Valjean went out and stole a loaf of bread. That's all you have to look. You want to understand why rule-based morality is dumb? Watch Les Mis.
on somebody else or something like that, then I don't know, maybe that would be a moral act of theft because you're depriving them of the resources that they can be.
Okay. We got through his thought experiments. Okay, next. The Enlightenment. Why is that necessary for Politics 101? I guess he's just drawing the, and he jumps straight into liberalism versus capitalism? Huh? How is he, what is this? How does this make sense?
Liberalism is the global ideology today. While there are other ones, and there are different variations on liberalism, liberalism is by far, without question, without competition, the powerhouse right now in the broader political discourse. This looks a little bit like the League of Legends logo. Well, hey, actually, I feel the same way about liberalism as I do about League of Legends. So, you know, taking the L.
Funny.
Of free trade.
Free trade,
with
which is why it's capitalism.
And powerful, and they had freedom that the poor classes didn't.
Okay, he's tying liberalism into capitalism, but you can have liberalism without capitalism. So, the one's a free market. Okay, I don't know. This to me is very like super basic and boring, and I honestly don't want to keep watching this.
Racial income gaps. You know, why do black?
Couldn't. This is too long, too boring, too basic. Travis Pangburn just sent me this, something from richardsdawkins.net. Let's see here. Interesting. Science cannot protect itself. It needs our help. Interesting. Well, what's happening here? Hello. It can be easy to take science for granted, to mistakenly believe there's a universal understanding of its importance and agreements about its value and function. Of course, we know that isn't true. In the new issue of Skeptical Inquirer, Jerry Coney and Luna, let me make this a little bigger so people can watch, can read this. There we go. And Luna Major deliver a clear and sobering warning. Unless there's a change in the zeitgeist, and for those who don't know what the zeitgeist is, like the spirit of the times. Cancel. No, go away. Digo, I'm not doing it today. Yes, go away. Unless scientists finally find the courage to speak up against the toxic effects of ideology on their field, in a few decades, science will be very different from what it is now. Indeed, it's doubtful that we'd recognize it as science at all. Interesting. Okay. How does she continue? Their article, The Ideological Subversion of Biology, highlights the damage that can come from trying to filter scientific inquiry through a political or ideological prism. In this case, the progressive notion of radical egalitarianism. Huh? What is this person talking about? The ideological subversion of biology. Okay. This sounds very like baity, but let's see this. Man, I wonder, blah, blah, blah. I'm very much looking forward to discuss with these two on whatever. One of the threats to science, Coyne and Major describe it as the effort seen in various places around the world to treat it as equal or to ingenious beliefs or some unworthy artifact of Western colonialization. Why can I say this word? God, help me. Why can't I fucking say this word? Come on, Google. Help me out. How do I say it?
Indigenous.
Indigenous. Thank you. Equal indigenous beliefs or as some unworthy artifact of Western colonialism. But look at Richard Dawkins' reply. Okay. So one of the things I'm already going to guess that she's missing here is the notion that science is not separate. It's not some bubble that exists outside of like society. It's a part of it, right? It's a part of the way our economy, it's a part of our culture. It's a part of everything in our society. And just like everything else in our society, business, music, it takes on specific attitudes and specific notions that come from the rest of society. So for example, we look at like postmodern critiques of modernity, where they took concepts of like dichotomies as true. There's either good or there's either bad. They didn't understand the concepts through spectrums. There's all these different notions that we all understand today. Like For example, Foucault in Madness of Civilization and Civilization, he talks about how mental health is not just the medical gaze, where science viewed people through a medical perspective rather than a human perspective, and how that deals with how we treat people and stuff like that. And then we have person first language and all the stuff that comes across of it. But there is some aspects of science. There is some aspects of not science itself, but what is research, how it's researched, what is funded, what is not funded, that does have its roots in colonialism, has its roots in these specific notions. And that's just a fact, right? Like, for example, a lot of people might make the argument that, people don't do studies on race anymore or like biological race, and that is somehow ideological or whatever it might be. But it's not necessarily just ideological. It's that race is a social construct. It's not biological, but it seems like they're not taking the argument seriously. They think that saying that comparing science to an indigenous belief system or some unworthy artifact of Western colonialism, it's very loaded language. We can see how loaded this is. Because I really doubt that professors who make that argument, similar to what I meant, that there are aspects of the scientific community and the way in which science is done that has these notions coming out of it, is not a bad thing. Shouldn't science be interested in critiquing itself, in recognizing its faults, recognizing where things have gone in the way of the methodology in the best of ways? I don't see the issue here. Okay, we'll look at Richard Dawkins' reply to this pernicious nonsense, which he recently reposted on his Substack, The Poetry of Reality with Richard Dawkins. We'll also look at this idea playing out in real time as more than a... Okay, so this is... When are they doing this? When are they talking about this? We will. So this is in the future? Okay. We'll also look at the idea in the newsletter. This is what the newsletter is for. Ugh, I don't want to subscribe to the newsletter. More than 130 million Indian schools should begin a new academic year with science textbooks that have been stripped of key concepts, such as the theory of evolution and the periodic table. I don't see what this has to do with this straw man. Because this is a straw man. This is a straw man. I'm actually going to save this in my Digo. For those who don't know, this is a program. Oh, you guys can't actually see it. And now it lets me highlight the text and then save notes, for example, right? Straw man. Find academic opinions later. Okay, save. We'll also look at the idea of playing on real time. Okay. We'll also have recent high-profile attacks on academic freedom. The Association of American University Professors has issued a report on the Hamline University controversy, finding that the university administrators mishandled the situation from beginning to end, and in the process, undermining its faculty and failing to defend its core principles of academic freedom. What happened? What happened with the Hamline University controversy? I don't know what this is. See, what is that? Oh, Hamline University professor who lost job over Muhammad art sues. After lecture sues. Okay, Hamilton walks back. Okay, what is this? Interesting. This is interesting. See, this is a lot more interesting than those idiots, actually. This is cool. This is fun. After lecturer sues, Hamline University walks back its Islamophobic comments. In an about face, the school said that using the term was flawed, and in that respect for Muslim students should not have superseded academic freedom. Okay. Hamline University official made it an about face on Tuesday. So what happened beforehand? What is the former article that this talks about? Come on, where's them links, New York Times? Okay. Hamline University officials made an about face on Tuesday in its treatment of a lecturer who showed an image of the Prophet Muhammad in an art history class, walking back one of their most controversial statements that showing images was Islamophobic. Yeah, this is fucked up. This is bad. Our art history professor should absolutely have the freedom to show a picture of Muhammad. That's not even in question. It shouldn't even be in question. That is exactly what it should be. But I don't understand what this has to do with this idea that science can be understood as a belief system, right? Anthropologically, historically, socially. That is the way in which we find and understand truth about the world. And just like other belief systems, it is more immune to bullshit than any other shamans, but it still has bullshit that as intelligent people, we can try to piece out. I mean, most people know, and if they don't know, there is a replicability issue in psychology. A lot of psychological studies have had issues to be replicated, and they couldn't be replicated. But those studies were still used in companies, and they were still used like personality inventory, like the Myers-Briggs was used in Fortune 500 companies. Even some governments around the world were trying to use it for like military recruitment, when that's bunk science. But yet that still got through. That is a part of the scientific community. Those are scientists, those are researchers that push these ideas. So when we look at science through like a social lens, we look at science through an anthropological lens, we recognize that science is just like indigenous beliefs. From that perspective, it's the way in which a population decides its truths. It's like going to your shamans. It's like going to your doctors. That's fine. We can understand things that way because in 1,000 years, that's how we're going to be looked at. And the only way we move forward is by taking that lens and seeing where is it that science falters, just like all these other social systems that have existed. Where are its biases? Where does it fuck up? But I still don't see what the Muhammad picture has anything to do with this. With friends like this, who needs enemy? Fortunately, science and free inquiry have always had their defenders. Defender of science and inquiry. As they do to this day, the Center of Inquiry remains committed to promoting science, reason. Okay. Excited about our upcoming event. SIS? What is this? Oh, Penn and Teller. I love Penn and Teller, even though Penn is an idiot and he's like a libertarian. Richard Dawkins, Naomi, Mike West. Who's Mike West? An author of Escaping the Rabbit Hole, How to Debunk Conspiracy Theory Using Facts and Logic. Nivik? Are you there, Nivik? Okay. Journalist, medical doctor, author. Okay. Direct vaccination. Okay, this is fine. I see what they're... I don't necessarily think that, where is it? That this is related to this? But we can understand, political pressures on the scientific community have existed for a long time. I don't think it's that out of the norm. That makes sense to me in many respects. Okay. Another thing done. What time is it? It's 11 o'clock. I think I've been streaming for like 2 hours and 30 minutes-ish, maybe. So I'm going to call it for tonight. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to try to stream tomorrow, the night after tomorrow, the night after that. And I would appreciate if everyone just sends me things to look at other than just me doing it during the day. It helps a lot. Please, less stupid stuff though. I really less like bottom of the barrel, like scraping tar off of the inside of an old wine barrel, like shit. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't have to clean gutters. It's too dumb that I just feel like sitting there and watching it and having my brain melt away. I can't do that. That's a negative for me. Maybe I should react to like I don't know. I gotta figure out what to do. But thanks everyone. It's been a blast. As always, stay thinking.